Sadly, it's the end of our 3-day spookathon, so happy Halloween, and we can't have Halloween without an awesome Halloween makeup. And of course, we're going in the theme with witches. That's just how it's been this year, and I will be recreating Billy from Hocus Pocus. I'm super excited for you to see how it turned out, and let's get into it. So to start off, I'm pulling my hair back with a ponytail, and then taking the headband and pushing all my baby hairs back. Then I'm going in with an Elmer's glue stick, gluing down my eyebrows to 1, have a flat surface, and 2, hope I don't lose my eyebrows to liquid latex. Then, after this, I'm just talking about how I'm using inspiration photos from the movie to try and get it as accurate as possible. Then, I'm going to be going in with tissue paper, folding it into triangles to build up the cheekbones. I'll be laying down the latex on my cheek, letting it dry, laying down one more layer, and then sticking the tissue paper to my face. And then I'll be building up the cheekbones with even smaller pieces of tissue paper in the shape of triangles, and then just getting it to the desired height and shape that I want them to be. Then I'm gonna go in with a rectangular shaped tissue paper and building up the 3 parts of the nose to make it look more hollow. And then after I'm done with that, I'm gonna let that dry and move on to the next thing. So now I'm taking a longer rectangular piece and I'm gluing it to the bridge of my nose just to make it look thinner and more hollowed out, and I'm just blending it out with the latex as much as I possibly can, also going on with little pieces of tissue paper to build up my cheekbones a little bit more. So now I'm taking the tissue paper, rolling them into rectangular pieces, and building around my eye socket to give it a more skeletal appearance. I didn't really notice it until I was doing the makeup that he really does have a nice sunken in face, and in the end, like just with the tissue paper on my face, it looks more skeletal before the makeup is applied. So I'm just building it up as much as I possibly can and getting it to where I want it. Of course, I'm elongating the cheeks because it wasn't the shape that I had desired, so I'm making it the way I want it to be, and then I'm blending it out as best as possible. So when you're blending out the tissue paper, you don't want to have solid lines, so that's why I'm tearing them into odd shapes, because it will blend better in the end. I'm also going on the outside, on the inside, trying not to glue my eyelids open. Of course, I couldn't avoid that, so I just had to take the latex off of my eyes once it had dried enough. And this is the point where I get latex in my hair. It's not fun. I would not recommend it. So if you're doing this, use Vaseline or something and just brush your baby hairs back with it so that when you do get latex on it, it'll be easier to get it out of your hair. It was at this point that I realized the cheekbones didn't end where I wanted them to, or how they were supposed to be in the photo. I had them ending at the bottom of the nose, but they actually end at the bridge of the nose, so I just ripped up the latex, laid it back down, and connected it where it needed to be connected. And it's really easy. Once you make mistakes, all you gotta do is rip it up and then fix it. It's not like destroying the whole project, which is really nice. And then I'm blending the cheekbones out with some tissue paper. I'm rolling it to create deeper wrinkles and then putting tissue paper on top of it to blend it out and also make the wrinkles more secure. I was originally just going to take the tissue paper and wrinkle it as I went along, but it was just easier to roll the tissue paper and create those deep creases. So after I've rolled the tissue paper and created the creases, I'm gonna go in with just a flat piece of tissue paper and putting it over all of it just to make sure that it is secure and in place and that the little wrinkles won't fall off. Now I'm just going into the underside of my eye and blending out our newly built prosthetic piece into the rest of the eye just so that it's all well blended together and it doesn't look like I have some random line at the bottom of my eye. Once the face is secure, I'm going to be moving down my neck and also just doing the wrinkled effect. First I'm laying down the tissue paper and putting latex on top of it, blending it into my neck, and then afterwards I'm going to be taking the tissue paper and rolling it just like I did before with the cheekbones, but I'm just putting it along the, what am I trying to say? I'm putting it down my neck so that it looks like I have neck wrinkles. Why was that so hard to say? I don't even know, okay? But anyways, that's what I'm doing, and then of course they're not staying in place just because of how small they are, and so I'm going to be going in with just a sheet of tissue paper and making sure they're in place and just latexing the whole thing down. So after this, after I've gotten everything sorted out, I'm just going to be going in, touching up the little fine details, and also going in with the latex, and instead of brushing it on, I'm going to be patting it down to create a more skin-like texture, rather than having random brush strokes. It'll be easier for the makeup in the end, and it'll look more realistic. Okay, so now that this is all dry, I'm going to be using this Mayron palette, and I love it. It's a water-based makeup palette, and it's so easy to blend the colors together. The only problem that I found while I was doing this is I wasn't getting the color I wanted, and part of the reason was because, I don't know if you could see that, but I was all out of my white color, and I didn't realize that until I started doing this. And so the reason why I like this palette is just because it dries and it's easier to blend the colors together. But I end up using a oil-based makeup that you usually get at a Halloween store or just during Halloween. And the reason why I don't like them is because they don't dry. And if you're like me and you're in theater, if they don't dry and someone bumps you or you run into something, then your whole makeup's ruined. But I'm going in with the oil-based makeup, getting it more to the color that I want it to be, after I've figured out that it's not gonna work with the watercolor. As you can see, I was like really trying, and then I realized, oh, now it looks like I have rosy cheeks. Okay, this isn't working out well. But I'm letting it dry while I go in with some black eyeliner and then some black eyeshadow to darken my eyes. It's at this point in the video where my camera hates me, and I don't know if it just doesn't like me applying makeup, but it kept focusing in and out and in and out, so bear with me while I explain what all's going on. So this is where I've finally given up on using the watercolor palette because it's not blending the way I want it to, so I'm using the oil-based color, and I'm getting it the color I want it. I'm really happy with the color that I was able to mix up, and I'm just brushing it on as best as I possibly can, and then after I have it all brushed on over where I put the watercolor or water-based makeup, then I'm going in with some powder. I'm powdering it down, just trying to get it as dry as possible so that I can go in with some shadows and create depth on our depths? I don't know. I'm creating depth on the creases and the wrinkles that we created earlier with a lighter gray / light brown. and then I'm just going in with a darker brown / black and just giving it more depth, trying to create the wrinkles that he had in the movie, and just going off of the picture as best as I possibly can, blending it all out as much as possible. Of course, the oil-based makeup gets on your brush, and so I'm going in with a liquid eyeliner, black, obviously, and I'm just going back over all of the wrinkles that I just did, creating a few new ones, and putting all the little tiny fine details on, powdering it all down, making sure it's all secure, and now it should be finished after I put on the mascara. So the final touch to this whole thing is obviously his stitched up mouth. So what I'm using is I'm just using some regular black string, and I'm dipping both ends in the liquid latex, placing them where I want them to go, and then letting them dry. Trying not to move my mouth as much as possible, but it proves to be difficult, and then making sure it's secure, letting it dry, and there we go. Now I'm going in with some hair clay, trying to make my hair dirty, messy, putting it in a ponytail, and messing it up. And now, that's the finished look. I obviously didn't have a Billy costume. I tried as best as possible, but I'm really happy with how the makeup turned out. We just used latex, toilet paper, and clay makeup. All this stuff that you could find at your basic Halloween store. And it turned out pretty well. Now I'm taking it off, and I gotta say, the more terrifying thing is the face under the mask. But hey, if you want to see me do anything else in the future, any makeup, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you